Well, I have some very interesting information here that I think we all should be paying attention to because this is important. Now, this channel, the United Knowledge, has done a lot of research into the magnetosphere and solar activity, and he has found some very interesting connections. And he has also found that it seems we are being lied to, surprise, surprise, by NASA and the agencies. Now, before I continue on with what the United Knowledge is relaying to us here, I want to show you some of the research that I was doing mid-year in regards to another very interesting anomaly that was dubbed the 1400 frequency. Now, the 1400 frequency was a very strange frequency that was being picked up on the HARP magnetometer every day at 1400. And this frequency seemed to show up just after the Venus transit. And what makes it more interesting is this frequency was also seen in the previous transit of 2004. Now, there were other times that this frequency was seen. Although it was very faint, it was there. And I have tried to make some connections, and so far I have not had a lot of luck in trying to find a solid connection to any type of cycle that could be responsible for this 1400 frequency. But I did notice that this 1400 frequency stopped on the 30th of June, and when it stopped, the solar activity intensified unbelievably. And then it mysteriously returned again on the 18th of July. And this is what it looks like on the HARP magnetometer. And we can see that it was there again the next day. These lines here are relaying to us the signal of this 1400 anomaly. Now, because this anomaly was on time every day, a lot of people theorized that this was probably a man-made signal. However, I never really resonated to that theory because to me, I see cycles in nature all the time that are on time every time. We only have to look at the equinoxes and the solstices and the seasons and the moon to see that the universe works in cycles and that these cycles happen on time all the time. So my thoughts were, when I saw this 1400 anomaly, that this was some type of pulse, some type of electric pulse that was the result of the interaction of Venus with our sun. Now, I'm not going to say that I know what that interaction was and that I understand what that electrical interaction was. I do know, however, that there was some type of interaction and that this pulse was then being picked up on the magnetometer, and that this is something organic. This is something that is emanating from somewhere within our solar system, or perhaps further out. I mean, we really do not understand enough about the solar system and the universe to say with certainty exactly what is happening. But what we saw there, I can tell you based on what I was seeing and what I was researching in regards to the Venus transit and solar activity, was some type of pulse. Now, this is interesting because this is exactly what the United Knowledge has been finding with his information. In fact, he has gone much further, and his research is impressive. What I'll do is just basically give you a rundown of what he's found, and then I will recommend that you look at his video and you watch his video so that you can see that everything that he is bringing to you has been confirmed and can be verified, and that there is definitely some type of cover-up about what is happening with our sun and some other force that is propelling huge influxes of protons into our magnetosphere, into our atmosphere. And this is affecting our magnetic field. And we're seeing this happen again and again, and there is a definite pattern. So what he has found is that between February 24th to February 26th, 3 years in a row, the magnetosphere does exactly the same thing. From March 8 to 11, 2 years in a row, we see the same type of activity happening with our magnetosphere being compressed. And then we're seeing earthquakes and volcanic activity pick up as a result of this. And then we're seeing NASA blame this on the sun. March 30th to April the 3rd, 2 years in a row, he has seen the exact same behavior. April 5th to April 12th, 2 years in a row, once again, he is seeing the same thing happening with our magnetosphere, with any of these auroras that are being seen, and then NASA blaming the sun. And NASA expecting us to believe that the sun is erupting at the same time every year, and that this is just somehow a coincidence. What they're doing is they're blaming the sun for whatever else is sending us these particles and projecting these particles towards us. There's something happening, some type of larger cycle, some type of pulse. And what's happening is this pulse is now starting to pick up and get stronger. Because what the United Knowledge has seen in his research is that every year it gets more severe. It seems to go more, intensified. So he basically is trying to say that we can expect the same cycle, the same pulse to do the same thing, but this year it may be something that is more severe than it was in 2011. So the other interesting information that he brought forward that I wanted to share with you too was that mysteriously 7 months ago, the real-time magnetosphere simulation and space weather simulator was put out of service. And you should listen to the pathetic excuse they use. End of web service. The NICT real-time space weather simulation service ended at the end of March 2012 because the lease period of the supercomputer for the real-time simulation expired. So here we are coming into our solar maximum. Here we are about to reach the peak of our cycle, and they cannot afford to lease the supercomputer. Seriously, is anyone buying this bullshit? Because if you are, I feel sorry for you. You really need to start waking up and paying attention. Now, the other interesting information that he relayed was that David Morrison, who is NASA's official debunker, managed to find the time to comment on one of the United Knowledge's videos and told him that he didn't understand science. So the United Knowledge replied and asked, well, please explain to me what is going on here. Why are we seeing this occurring time after time on the same dates, year after year? So far, he has been met with deafening silence. Nobody has answered him. So David Morrison can come out and debunk and tell the United Knowledge that he has no understanding of science, but then does nothing to clarify or explain what exactly is happening and why we are seeing this behavior over and over again. Now, another thing that confirmed this for me is that at the beginning of the year, we saw these dazzling northern lights. But the difference about these ones was they couldn't be explained because there was no flare that they could blame this on. So they just went on to say that they didn't know how to explain what was going on. Now look at the dates, guys. The 16th of February, 2012. Now when you look at the dates from what the United Knowledge is finding in regards to our magnetosphere being twisted, and actually we lost part of the magnetic pole during this time as well. That's how severe it was. That happens on the 24th to the 26th. So we're starting to see some big connections here, guys. They are lying. They are lying, and they are covering up that there is something else sending huge particle influxes our way, twisting our magnetic field, and causing all of these large earthquakes and this uptick in volcanic activity. And NASA are going out of their way to hide this from us. They are not telling us. They are lying, and they are telling us that this is all from our sun. So I will put all of the links underneath this video, and I would suggest and recommend, highly recommend, that you watch this video from the United Knowledge. And you may need to watch it a couple of times to really start understanding the information and how profound this really is. People are worrying about Nibiru. People are worrying about all this mythical bullshit Planet X. Guys, this is something that you really do need to pay attention to. And this is nothing to do with Planet X. This is to do with something in our solar system that is sending us a pulse, sending us energy at some part of its cycle, at some part of this alignment with this, whatever it is, probably our galactic core, which is what I think, especially as we now have this G2 cloud about to collide with our galactic core and cause a shockwave that science now admits we will feel. I think this is all connected. And I think that this is absolutely connected to the Venus transit as well, because the Venus transit was the timekeeper. And this is what the Maya also used Venus for. They called it the keeper of time. They watched Venus as much as they watched the sun. And there was a reason for that. Now, we're in this 26,000 year cycle. This last Venus transit in 2012 in June was the last one of this 26,000 year cycle. The stars are the timekeepers, guys. The constellations and the planets are timekeepers. They're the clock of the heavens, and this is what the ancients used. Now, the power elite, the agencies, can change our calendars, and they can manipulate us through removing us from the natural cycles of time, but they can't change time, and they can't change the movements of the heavens. So we need to be paying very close attention to the mythology, because all of the mythology, the Greek mythology, the Egyptian mythology, the Roman mythology, the Vedic mythology, all of it, the Nordic mythology, it's all talking about now. All of these times have been related to us and left to us in a form of mythology. And the church has come along and plagiarized it and called it paganism and fairy tales, when in fact what the fairy tales are is what the church is trying to sell us. What the church and the government are trying to indoctrinate us with is actually the fairy tales. The mythology are accounts of the cycles that we go through. And Venus is a very big part of that cycle. And so is Orion, and so is the sun, and so is the galactic center. So as I said, guys, this is very important information. This is something that I'm going to be paying close attention to. I'm going to post everything underneath the video, and you can verify all of this data for yourself. Okay, well, I will leave it there. And, of course, as always, peace out.